I gave it to her, and she asked me if I would come here today and give it to y'all. So it might take a little bit longer than some of these other ones, but bear with me. Back in the early 2000s.
You need to hold the mic close up.
Back in the early 2000s, I was experimenting with weed, and I was pretty much obsessed with hanging out with the party group all the time. I moved here from a small town. I wanted the glitz and the glamour, all the money. I wanted all the girls. I wanted everything of the world. So I chased it, and I got it. And weed moved to cocaine and pills, drinking all the time. I always held down a job. Never thought I was losing control. And I started selling weed. And from all the weed I smoked, I developed a disorder called marijuana toxicity disorder. It caused me to throw up every morning, sometimes for hours on end. One time, for 3 days, I was throwing up to the point that I ruptured my esophagus and ended up in the hospital. And they thought they were going to have to do surgery, but they didn't. It healed by itself. I get out of the hospital, and they can't treat it. Only thing they can do is treat the pain. So they put me on opiates. First they give me hydros, and then they move me to oxys. And they just keep moving me up to the point that I'm taking medication that they give to terminally ill cancer patients. At this time, I'm selling a lot of drugs, but I'm tired of feeling high on oxys and stuff all the time. So I asked the doctor to get me off of them. I go home, and I didn't know anything about opiates really. And I start detoxing. It was the worst feeling I'd ever felt. Satan had already put his leash around my neck, and he was walking me and dragging me wherever he wanted to. I would spend anywhere from $500 to $1,000 every day or every other day to support my habit. I got busted. No longer had that money coming in. So I had to go against everything, every moral I'd ever set up in my life. I started making little compromises, and those little compromises kept breaking down those values that my parents had instilled in me early in my life. To the point that I ended up not being able to see my daughters, lost their mother, lost my mom and dad. They wouldn't talk to me anymore. See, my brother passed away after we had already lost my sister. And I used that as an excuse to really go off the deep end. That was my reason for getting high. I had a reason. To the point that right now, standing before you, I'm 207 pounds. I was 142 pounds, covered in scabs, sticking needles in my arm. I overdosed, and I woke up, and the cops asked me if I wanted to go to the hospital. I told them no, I think I'm going to go to rehab for like the 7th time. And they said, you're going to jail first. So they take me to jail, and I'm detoxing in jail, and I'm so sick that they take me to the hospital. I'm at UAMS, and my bond's so little, it's going to cost the jail more money to pay the hospital bills than it is to just let me go. So they release me to the hospital, and the hospital kicks me out in the winter with ice on the ground, barefooted, had socks on, and clothes that I'd been wearing for 5 days. I'm walking out of the hospital with a big piece of cotton on my neck and tape on it, because that was the only vein they could hit in order to give me IV fluids. And a man stops me and asks me if I'm okay. And I was like, I don't know. I tried to use his phone, and I was calling a guy that I got high with because I needed a place to go. And he stops me in the middle of calling him and says, is this guy somebody that helped you get to the shape you're in right now? And I said, yes, it is. And he said, go inside this library right here at UAMS and lay down on that bench. I just got off work. I'm going to go get my truck, and I'll come back and get you. He brings a police officer in to take me somewhere, and I didn't want to ride with the cop. And I hid in the bathroom, and they basically get me to come out of the bathroom, and the cop gets a call and has to leave. The guy leaves on the bus, comes back, picks me up, drives me around for 2 hours trying to find a place for me to go. He calls my mom, my dad, the mother of my kids, my sister, and they all refuse to help with do right. They had to pull back to protect themselves from the person that I had become in my addiction.
I'm going to ask you to fast forward just a little bit in terms of getting to
Sorry.
what the Lord did.
This guy prayed for me that night. He found me a place to go at the Compassion Center and got me into a faith-based rehab, but it was a week out. And he took me to the Compassion Center, gave me his shirt off his back, shoes off his feet, and the last $10 in his pocket. I've tried to find this guy. I tried to have my boss find this guy, and I can't find him. I refused to go to the rehab. I was fighting against myself, and I ended up getting in a fight at this place called Jericho because I was sneezing. Across the street from Nehemiah House, didn't know that's what it was. I walk outside, and I guess that's where I'm going. I walk in there, and the pastor takes me in immediately into special conditions rather than making me wait a week. After about 2 weeks of being in the program, I prayed with this preacher that came in and asked the Lord to come back in my life. And that night, I was laying in bed and I was screaming and crying out in a room with 50 other men and asking him to show me something. I needed something tangible to hold on to know that this is real, that he could help me, because I tried to quit so many times and tried to change so many times on my own and couldn't. He started making changes that only he could have made. I started getting to talk to my daughters on the phone. My dad just so happened to be riding a bike going to a job and stopped and got out and hugged me and loved me for the first time in months. I put other people in my life as barricades and roadblocks to help keep me on the path that I'm on. And a bunch of them are here today. My sponsor, the owner of my company, and my best friend. These people have been here for me throughout the whole entire thing and helped my walk with the Lord and helped get me where I am today. Now, I am the boss of a company in Little Rock. I have my daughters back, my family back. I have